Hey everyone, today I'm going to run through a quick 5-minute stretching routine to get you ready for the session ahead. Starting off with split squat stretches. Here you see me dropping down with 2 bent legs and stretching up behind my body. When I do this, I'm trying my best to keep my knee hovering off the floor, but if you can't quite manage that and you find it too tricky, it's absolutely fine to drop down. Do this a few times on each leg and focus on holding that top position for around 3 seconds. You should feel a great stretch from your knee straight up into your mid-torso. For this next stretch, we're following the same setup as before, dropping down into that split squat position, clasping both our hands together and twisting against our leading leg. When we do this, we're focusing on keeping both arms straight so we can ensure that our spine is twisting and not just our hands going off to the side. Again, doing this a few times on each leg, trying to focus on pausing in that end position. Moving on to one of my favourite stretches, the hamstring walkout. Here, the aim is to keep your legs as straight as possible as you slowly walk out into that press-up shape. Now, the closer your legs are together, the harder this will be. So if you are someone who struggles to touch their toes, I suggest starting with a wider base to get you going. I'd highlight this next exercise as the most important in the video, as squat mobility is something everyone needs and everyone can improve on. Here I'm focusing on dropping down into a deep squat without compromising a straight back position. Bending over into that hamstring shape, slowly coming down with the knees following the direction of the big toes. Pausing there, keeping everything still, then bringing my hands above my head and pushing up strong without moving my knees. Make sure your heels stay firmly planted on the ground and you pause at the top and bottom of this exercise. Now, if you found that exercise quite difficult and you struggle with your squat dips in general, here's a couple of exercises to help loosen off your hips and glutes. Moving on to the next exercise, I'm dropping down into a deep lunge, bringing my first foot just under my hand and keeping my back leg straight. I'm taking my free hand, dropping it in between and pulling it around to create a twist. Notice when I do this, I'm keeping everything nice and still and ensuring that my shoulder doesn't drop down and stays on top of my hand. When you pull around, think about pulling with your elbow, not just with your hand. That way you'll feel a great stretch across the side of your glutes and maybe even a bit in your upper back. Moving into our last stretch, we're dropping back down into that deep lunge and focusing on dropping that hip down as low as we can, then extending our legs straight. Dropping down low and extending straight. Notice how my feet don't move, I'm simply just bending and straightening that front leg. Now, if you choose to do this mobility sequence before your workout, I find it's always best to finish on something explosive, whether that's squat jumps, split squat jumps, standing broad jumps, or even explosive push-ups. These will just help raise your heart rate, get blood pumping, and activate the muscles to get you properly prepared for the session.